Dog fans, welcome to Hunker Down, Impact Media's weekly dive through the hedges into the world of the UGA Bulldogs football squad. He is Jake Skinner. I was going to put a nickname in there, and I decided not to. I'm
Yeah, I
Jeremy
hear you.
York. Yeah, I got to come up with a good one, or we got some good ones coming. Uh, but we are going to talk about well, obviously, we're going to talk about the big cocktail party coming up this weekend.
hmm
But first of all, how are you?
Doing good. Good lazy weekend. There was no stress, no game on, so I kind of just perused channels and took it easy. How about you, man?
Quite the opposite. But
I say
it
I
was
didn't hear from you.
yeah. I don't remember if I don't remember what happened Friday, but I know no, I didn't do anything Friday. Saturday was just wide open, but it was fun. It was the Deep South Wrestling Show at New Realm. They had Lex King from NXT there. Gorilla got to face them. I mean, by far it was one of the best top to bottom shows or bottom to top shows in a while. And next time's going to be even better. Hopefully, you can make one of these,
Nice.
another
Hopefully
one
I
of these.
can find another free weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what those are. I just find ways to fit things in.
Fair enough.
I said years ago that a lot of people kept asking me what I did in my free time, and I had to Google what free time was. Apparently, it's the time when you're not busy, and I'm not sure when that is. So I'm
I'll
just
say
gonna have to take their word for it.
you're either sleeping or you're doing something. That's it for you.
Pretty much, pretty much. I mean, I was doing stuff even before we started this. So, but somebody who or some people who weren't doing some things, clearly the board who comes up with the ranking, because while I agree with we've got pretty much the right mix of people in the top 10 to
hmm
12, I don't think they're in the right seat. But
Yeah.
let's start right there. You look at the rankings. I got the ESPN
Yeah, I got
rankings.
it pulled up. Yeah, I got it pulled up.
Okay. I don't know if we have the same ones or not, but I'm going to start at the bottom. The 11th and 12th teams are Iowa State and Clemson. 9 and 10 is BYU and Texas A&M. Are any of those four going to make the final 12?
I think out of that grouping, I think you probably should remove Clemson. And I say just because Iowa State probably could fold by the end of the year. BYU could fold. I mean, it's a Big Ten. It's this the Big 12 now. They're both in there.
Yep.
But I think Clemson's soft. Georgia showed that Georgia has not had a great season by Georgia standards. We've talked about this each week, but they manhandled Clemson in a way Clemson hasn't been manhandled since. That's not saying that Clemson has figured it out. That is simply stating that Georgia is dominant up front. We saw it with Texas. Georgia, if
Yep.
they get in your face and punch you, you better be ready. So I think Indiana deserves to be in the top 12. I know, I love how the top 25 for the AP has Clemson and Iowa State tied at 11.
Yeah, I see that. We don't have
I
any
hope,
ties. That's the reason we stopped doing the BCS. You can't have a
seriously,
tie.
but I think Indiana deserves to be in there. I mean, I don't think Indiana would end up. I know what you mentioned 12 through 9, but I'll go ahead and say I don't think Indiana makes the playoff, but I think they deserve to at least have their name in the hat at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as people on the outside that could make their way in, clear choice. Alabama, I think, makes the final 12. Whether it's through some
Mm,
of luck.
they got to play LSU in not this weekend, but the weekend after, and
Okay,
I
well,
think LSU can
the
beat
winner.
them.
Okay, because LSU was the other team I was going to mention. Boise State can sneak in because they play absolute just middle school teams. I think the rest of the year, and they
Yep.
pretty much play them all year.
If
So, hey,
India
Boise
and
State.
Indiana plays Ohio State coming up in a couple
Okay,
weeks, and
but
Indiana's
the
looking good,
winner
Ohio State's not who they used to be.
the winner of LSU Alabama makes the top 12. The winner. The
I
other
agree with that.
one, you're gonna need some help.
Yeah, because either you're gonna be 6 or 7 and 3, or you're gonna have a fourth loss if you're LSU. Or yeah, either team's gonna have a third loss. So I
Yeah,
don't think 3 losses gets you in there unless you somehow your 3 losses were out of conference and you won your conference.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the only way that would happen.
But yeah, I would agree. Clemson probably out. Iowa State's a coin flip. I don't think Texas A&M makes it. I think BYU makes it. I think
I
they're
think
still good
BYU
enough.
can.
They're fine. All
Yeah,
right, so let's go to the next batch of four. That's number 8 Notre Dame, number 7 Tennessee, number 6 Texas, number 5 Miami. First off, are they in the right order?
I despise Notre Dame, and we have discussed this at length. Notre Dame is ranked where they are because a lot of media outlets love Notre Dame, so they're going to always get some free love. They've
especially
played
NBC.
no, it's NBC. They've played nobody. They beat a early Texas A&M squad who hadn't figured it out. They beat Louisville by 7. They beat Tech by 18. They blew out Navy, who's looked good. They play Florida State next week, who is
Yeah,
nobody this year. Virginia, doubtful. Army has the best chance, along with USC. I
yeah.
think I I'm just gonna go ahead and hate on them, but out of that grouping, I think the order's semi right for that one. Just looking at all the next grouping,
All I would say is I think Miami should either be in between Texas, Tennessee, or maybe after Tennessee. I think Miami's a really good squad. I just feel like if Texas
they're
or
not there
Tennessee
yet.
played them in our backyard or at this place here, I think Miami would lose.
Oh no, I agree with that. I think that one kind of lends into the fact that they're undefeated compared to everybody else. That's right in that grouping, other
Mhm.
than BYU, and that's because
Right.
BYU still jumped in late. So I think it's just more of a hey, it's Miami, they're winning again. Let's go ahead and pull
Yeah,
for them.
and good for them. I'm glad that they're back towards the top because they deserve it. They're playing like it.
Yeah, they're playing good football.
All right, so now we're gonna go team by team. Number 4, Ohio State. Where do you think Ohio State finishes, and where are they? You know, if it ended today and you got to put them in order, where would they be in the top? Whatever.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you now, they beat Michigan this year. I don't see a reason
Unfortunately, yeah,
why they don't. They beat Purdue.
yeah,
Barring a miracle, they beat Northwestern.
yeah.
I don't think they beat Penn State, and I don't think they beat Indiana. I think the Buckeyes lose 2 more games because no, Indiana's looking really good. Okay,
Mm-hmm,
I'm not saying they're the best team. Penn State always has that one bad game. Now, this could be Penn State's
mm-hmm.
really bad game where they just blow it, which would not shock me. But just Ohio State and Oregon are to me are the two teams that can keep up that could give Georgia the most problem out of anybody going forward. Not to discredit your idea of Tech doing that. I'm not knocking that but to do Georgia, you've got to slow down their offense. That's all you got to do. But Georgia's defense is going to wear you down.
Yeah.
They're stronger than you. I don't see that Ohio State is tough enough up front. So I honestly
Okay.
think that if they get those 2 losses, I think they slide all the way to toward the back half in that last quadrant. I think 8, 9. But media will do what they would do. They'll sneak in probably closer to 5 or 6.
Yeah,
They
they'll
won't get
be
a
six
bye
or
week.
seven when they
Yeah,
should be 10. Yeah.
yeah. That's how I
Yeah,
feel about
because
them.
they will not be playing the conference championship with 2 losses, so
No,
they're actually going to benefit from sitting back here going, "Yep, you guys go ahead. We'll wait."
yeah, I agree with that.
But let's see. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think they lose at least one of those, and with 2 losses, Penn State is probably the one, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is Indiana. But Ohio State more than likely will be.
Hmm.
I would almost rather them be in the top 4, but because they're scarier the further they slide down because they're going to knock somebody out in the first couple rounds.
Yeah. I'm looking at like the conference rankings too. They lose another game, they are for sure not making the conference game at all. You got Oregon, Indiana, and Penn State all undefeated. You know, I don't
Yeah,
see Ohio State. I think Ohio State gets at least 1 loss. I'm hoping for 2. But I mean,
you're not
we'll see how it
telling
plays out. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at you, Michigan fan. But yeah, I just think Ohio State's a little overrated. They're not the same team they were. I mean, name one coach who's done less with more than Ryan Day. He was handed the keys to a Lamborghini
me.
and has
Are
driven
we
it like
talking head coaches? Because I could mention Mike Bobo.
you can mention Mike Bobo. I'm not saying that he was handed the exact same keys. We're talking head coaches right now. And I
Okay,
was
okay.
hoping to
Head
escape the
coach.
Mike
Yep.
Bobo hate this week. But since you brought up, just kidding.
What kind of co-host would I be if I didn't mention Mike Bobo's name at least twice on this show?
And
I
then
mean, although
after that, I'm
although
gonna need a
since we
drink.
talked about Texas in a minute or earlier, how about the fact that we did 2 shows that involved the Texas Longhorns and we
Ah, there
didn't
it
say
is.
Matthew McConaughey one time? In fact,
That's
I don't think we said all right, all right, all right, but like once, and that's only because
Oh,
it was the name of the show.
that's yeah. I thought that was good on us, but I think we lost bro points for that.
I think we did. We're gonna have to uh play some bongos in our boxer shorts or something late at night to get through this. I
Fair
cleaned that up a
enough.
little bit because nobody wants to see the actual what was going on there. But no, no. All right, number three, Penn State. I think they're going to end up number two or number three more than likely. There's a chance they'll be number one this year for a minute, but I think overall Penn State is probably the third best team in college. And like you said,
Yeah.
they're somebody that Georgia should hope gets knocked out before they get to them. Georgia still has to take care of their own business, but Penn State's the team that would scare me if I was Georgia because they can play bulldog football and they can
They
kind of win it.
they can play semi. I mean, I'm looking at their roster. I've looked at it. I'm going to be honest, and this is, I'm not trying to look at this through bulldog glasses and everything else. I'm just looking. But how many of the Penn State defensive linemen and Penn State offensive linemen did Georgia really go after and recruit? I can't name
True,
one of them.
true.
That's not knocking those players, but Georgia and Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, like the Southeast goes back to the same boys. They got to
Well,
the
but
same
to
groupings.
defend the Big Ten a little bit, the Big Ten targets a certain type of player, and the
They do.
SEC targets a certain type of player. So there's going to be a
There's not a
little
lot
bit
of,
of overlap, but for the
there
most
can
part,
be.
they're slightly different what they're looking for.
They're slightly different, but also don't forget that the Southern schools have finally started recruiting the Northern branch, and they're starting to
Yep.
pull the talent.
Oh yeah.
And it's created where that's, like Georgia did that, had multiple years of pulling big guys out of the Northeast and right in the heart of those countries. Like when you go get an offensive lineman caliber player, or an offensive
Yeah.
lineman top tier from Iowa, and you pull them from Iowa, that's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
Whether they live up to it outside of that, who knows? Because Alabama, looking at an Alabama Cade Proctor on that scenario, he needs to get better.
Right.
Penn State, yes, they can play good football up front, but it's James Franklin, it's Penn State. They will do something. They will screw up. I don't know if it's this week. I don't know if it's the playoff gets here and all of a sudden they get cold turkey, they get cold feet. They just and whatever. They're done. Like they will get roasted at some point by somebody. I mean, their quarterback Drew Lock, like he's looking good, but the fact is, like his game against USC, USC is not as good as everyone thought they were going to be. He
Right.
still threw three picks in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it, I just don't know that that team is going to be one that makes me that nervous day in and day out. They could do some good things, but I don't know that that's a title team. If they do it, congrats to them, but I just don't see it.
Right. And UGA at two, I have no problem with them being there. And
I'm
Oregon
good
at
with that.
one makes absolutely all
Perfect
the
sense.
sense in the world. But I really hope somewhere in the playoff, I would love to see the national title, but somewhere in the playoff, I would love to see Oregon and UGA face off because mainly of who the head coach is up there, Dan Lanning.
Georgia beat Dan Lanning his first year.
He
It
did
was a big game.
embarrass them.
Embarrassed them. I think the only team that can beat Georgia out of those is a Ohio State team that figures out what's going on. And then and Oregon. I think Oregon could beat Georgia right now because Georgia's offense can't hold up to Oregon's offense. The defense is what would keep Georgia in that ball game for about 3 quarters until Oregon kind of gets a few plays off.
I will say this, and this is not tipping my picks for later this season because this other game is coming up. Um, who can beat Georgia in the regular season? Can. Not saying they will. Tennessee. Tennessee's going to play them hard. Who can potentially beat them in the playoff? Yeah, it's Oregon. It's Ohio State.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, since this is a Georgia podcast, I'll go ahead and say it like those are the only ones that make me nervous. Tech does not make me as nervous. They never really do. I mean, they always are the team that you never know what's going to happen. They could do something up there at Mark Richt Field, especially, but you just don't know. And again, they just don't scare me. They have a chip on their shoulder, but usually by that point in the season, Georgia's got their head screwed on right. I mean, I don't think Kirby's lost to Tech yet, has he? Or did he lose his first or second year?
They won a couple years ago. I thought. I think that was a Kirby year, or was it Rick's last? I
I
don't
think
remember,
it,
but
I think Georgia had to come back to win in the last
yeah.
one. Okay,
Well, I do know.
So Kirby has lost one game
Also,
against them.
like two
Let's
years
see
ago.
here. Oh, here we
Rookies,
go. All right.
first half year.
It was 2016. It was Kirby's first year.
Oh,
Georgia lost 28 to 27, and they've not lost since.
wow. He
In
lost
fact,
to,
outside of last year's 38 to 21 game, it's not been close.
yeah.
And that's, Key has done a good job getting that team playing good football. I will give him that credit. But
And given how they're playing, if they continue on the path they're on now, when we get closer to that game, I do have some pretty interesting takes. I want to see them continue to evolve because if they kind of go flat footed again, then they're not going to have a
mhm,
chance.
yeah, Georgia just needs to stick with what they're doing. Georgia needs to keep up momentum and keep
Right.
playing, keep the defense rolling, keep just figure out that offense, Bobo. I'm just gonna go ahead and
Right.
call you out real quick. Just
Hmm.
figure out what you're doing. It's, I'm not a football coach. I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes. But it shouldn't the fan base can Tony Romo play easier than the coach at this point. We
Oh
shouldn't
yeah.
be able to Tony Romo it. At least if you're gonna make us go, we know you're gonna run it. At least give us, to quote Bert Kreischer, give us the old razzle dazzle. Like give us a little something so that we know, hey, they're going to run it, but where are they going to run it? Because right now I can look and go, hey, you're going to run it up the middle for 3 yards in a cloud of dust. The game looks like it's passing you by.
Right.
So there's my
I will.
Bobo rant for Georgia fans.
I think we got about 9 minutes to go. So, any recruiting you want to hit now, or you want to hit that later?
I'll just go ahead and hit Georgia's.
Okay.
This could be the best defensive class you've seen Georgia land in a long time.
Hmm.
The talent that Georgia's bringing in, along with what's already currently there in that sophomore freshman range, by the time these other ones are in there, this could be 2021 level defense at Georgia,
I mean, they're going to
and
have to replace the
a lot of
defensive
players.
prowess of Chaz Chandler.
Yeah,
He's a
exactly.
senior.
Eh,
Unfortunately, he's gone, guys. After this, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure he didn't
I'll go
redshirt.
ahead and say it. Georgia fans, just be prepared. 2025 is going to be a down year for the Dogs. We might make the playoff on a squeaker. It depends on who we start at quarterback. I honestly think when Beck goes, if we don't find a transfer, we go with Jaden Rashada because there's a lot of Jaden Daniels game to his game. But I think problem is Kirby, if we get rid of Bobo, it's going to be a transfer of Jaden. If we keep Bobo at the end of the year, which probably is what ends up happening, it's a transition year
Yeah.
and we use Gunnar Stockton and Georgia goes to more an RPO system and we just take our lumps because we won't be able to throw the ball. Great. He's a scrambling run first quarterback. Nothing against him. That's just who he is. So Georgia's defense, is gonna have to make plays, but I think with the talent coming in at tight end and wide receiver, just some names to watch out for you dog fans. 4-star who's borderline 5-star, but he's about to be named a 5-star, I think, in the next couple of weeks. I think I say Talon Taylor, or Talon Taylor. I don't know how you pronounce it, but anyway, he's out of Illinois. Huge receiver commit. Like we got him early, and Ohio State's now after him hard. And he told Kirby, "I'm sticking with it.
Yep.
If you're gonna keep a kid away from Ohio State, that says something. Georgia just has to prove that they can throw the ball to him." Like I said,
Yeah.
defense, you got Elijah Griffin coming out of Pooler, Georgia, Warner Robins, Isaiah Gibson on the edge. The line is going to get reset this year on the offensive and defensive line. Georgia's getting skilled players. We have a quarterback in Ryan Montgomery who's not getting to play this year because of an injury. I think it was just a knee injury. I don't know if it was ACL or what. I forget. But still,
Yeah.
good quarterback. They're still working some pieces in. I've heard some names dropped here or there that Georgia's at least after, or we could flip it around. But the receivers, again, Landon Rolden is one. I believe every time I hear a game report on Friday nights is one of the Georgia commits at wide receiver goes off. Week in, week out, they are 4 catches, 3 touchdowns for 167 yards. It's like, where'd this come from and can we hold on to them? So, Georgia fans, be ready. Just pay attention to the recruiting. Take a look at the names like on three. You might see some 3 stars. You look and go, I don't understand why we're recruiting a 3-star running back. Trust me, there's a reason why the guy's name is Bo Walker.
Pretty good name to have.
It is.
And
So
we try giveaways on these shows all the time. Uh, tell me what flavor and what I'm drinking for whatever fans watching, and we'll send you something. We'll send you something to Jake.
anything but Kiyoshi. She said she's not
Yeah.
leaving.
No, can't give her away. Now we'll for real send you some sort of prize pack or something like that. Tell me what I'm drinking. the flavor and everything. And we will we'll send you something. But about 5.5 minutes to go. We got to talk about this game this weekend. Number two, Georgia is hosting whatever that's worth. The Florida Gators, 6-1 versus 4-3. That is a 3:30 ABC ESPN Plus game. UGA is a 17-point favorite. Where do you
Hmm.
fall on that one?
Um, Honestly, now that they're playing Lagway, I think that kind of helps Georgia out. I mean, young quarterback getting a start. He's not the most accurate passer. He's very talented. And heck, if I'm Georgia and this kid decides to leave, if Billy gets fired, I go make a run at him to come in and say, "Hey, come earn a shot. If you don't make it,
Sure.
sit for a year and do your thing. You
Yeah.
can transfer again." But needless to say, I think Florida matches up strength wise at times, but I don't think they can hang for 4 quarters. I think this score is very similar to Texas score. I think Georgia probably scores about 30 to 34. If we score more than that, I will be a very, very happy person on Saturday. But I would honestly predict that, because I'm looking at recent games, I'd say Georgia scores 34. Florida maybe gets 7, 10 points.
Okay. So you got them making the spread.
I got them making the spread just because I feel that Georgia over 4 quarters with a defense that has figured out a week to figure out the offense, a week to heal everything else. Georgia has what it takes as long as Mike Bobo calls the plays and is smart with it. Because if I can call them better in EA Sports College Football 25, Mike, come on. Just come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And I'm
Um,
using Oregon right now. Come on.
you're on the trail with Oregon, trying to cross that river one fjord at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think Georgia. I don't think they cruise. I think Florida is gonna try to bully them at first. They're gonna try to push them around, and for a second, they're gonna be able to do that. But I think Georgia's just got too much talent. I think they're just more skilled, especially this year. Like you said, Florida's gonna make a run at it. They're gonna say we got nothing else to lose. Why can't we knock off Georgia? At least it'll be a highlight, and we'll be one game away from bowl eligibility. Um, 35-20, 35-21, something like that. I think Florida scores a couple times.
Yeah.
I think it's under the spread. I think 15-17 is a good range. I do think Georgia's going to win by about that much. It's just 17 is kind of a weird number. So I'm going to say they win by 15, but I think Georgia cruises on this one a little bit, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. I think obviously, Georgia's got what it takes to make it. I don't know that this is a title winning team, but this is a playoff team nonetheless. But again, we've seen teams who've played worse, and all of a sudden they get hot at the right moment. Georgia could figure out what's going on with them. But I mean, I think Georgia fans will be happy by the end of the game. It may not be the prettiest game we've ever played. It may not be what we want it to be. But I think at the end of the day, Georgia victory in this game, as always, is a good thing. Enjoy the cocktail party, have a few drinks.
Hmm.
Don't drive home if you do. Just enjoy it. And I mean, listen, accept that this year and next year might be more rebuilding and more reloading. A down to a couple years, Bama had them too, so don't get upset,
You're
people.
you're
Nick
reloading
had
as a
to,
top 10 team. Just
right.
accept that.
It's not Georgia reloading as a top 25 team. This is Georgia reloading as a top 5, top 10 team.
Yep.
This is them going, we've got to it's what Georgia had to do after the last title game in 17. When we lost that game and we had to spend 18, it's basically spent 18, 19, and 20 reloading. We spent 3 years. Georgia, I think, only has to spend 2 years reloading. This one and next one. Just got to figure out the quarterback, figure out the coordinator. But again, just enjoy Georgia football games and don't scream and yell so loud. It'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. The sky is not falling. Just if you accept this, every game's a wonderful game for the rest of the season.
I just had to check. I just
No, you're good.
Yep. And on our way out, shout out to our favorite UGA Bulldog, Chaz Chambliss. Got to get his name out there again. Shout out to our friend who allows them to play this game there. Shout out. Hope you're doing well. Fantastic. Hope to get to hang out with you again soon. We'll be talking to Jake more about that. But for Jake Skinner, I'm Jeremy York. This has been Hunker Down. We will see you guys next week. Deuces, gooses. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.